Okay, let's have a look at the Vulnerability Analysis Lab. So the main two VMs that you need is a Ubuntu one, so we'll just power that on, and a Windows one. Okay, and we'll open up a console for Ubuntu, and we'll do the same for Windows. And later on we'll be using the Metasploitable image, but we'll just boot up our two instances now. Okay, so the first part of the lab we're going to be using Nmap to be able to scan for open ports and so on. So we'll just get logged in. So I'm performing this off campus, so it's a little bit slow. I'm also cloning machines in the background, so it might run a little bit slow. Okay, and there we go. Okay, Control Alt Insert. That's us logged in. Okay, we'll open up our terminal. Okay, now the first thing that we do is to use ifconfig to be able to see what our network addresses are, and ipconfig over here. Okay, so we see we're on the 10.200.0 network. We know that because it's 255.255.255. So the last digit is the one that changes. Okay, so just to see that we have connectivity, we would now ping the other machine, and that's fine. Okay, so we're going to run Wireshark over here. Just so that we can observe the traffic. And then what we're going to do is we're going to Nmap the whole network. Okay, so we'll just make a start. Okay, so Nmap 10.200.0/24 will scan our 255.255.255 network. Okay, so the first thing we can see is an ARP scan. That's actually scanning the whole of the local network to see which machines are online. Okay, and then it's bringing back the results of the scan. So these are all the machines that are actually on. So it's managed to find out which machines are on, and then it's managed to find which ports are alive. And so the ARP scan is used to find which hosts are online. And if we look a bit later down, we should see there's the connect scan. Okay, lots of SYNs. If it gets connected, there's a SYNAC and then an ACK at the end. Okay, so we can just stop that. And now what we'll do is that we'll go from our Windows machine and we'll scan over here. This time it's fairly quick. We can see it's running HTTP, Telnet, FTP, LDAP, VNC. Okay, this time it's just done one ARP, and then it's went and did a SYN flood for the connections. There's a SYNAC. So when it gets a SYNAC, it knows that the port is actually open. Okay, so it's similar, but it's only just focused on one machine. Now what we'll do is we'll stop that and we'll go over here, and we want to nmap the Windows machine. Okay, a lot more ports open on the Windows machine, and we should get a similar type of result for the scan of the Windows machine. So now what we'll do is we'll run some nmap commands. So this one does a SYN flood. So this time there will be no ACK at the end of it. Okay, so we can see it's all SYNs, and there won't actually be a connection when we actually connect to a port. So there's a port that's open. Oh, let's find one. So here's one here that's definitely open. And we just follow the TCP stream, and we can see there's nothing, because it's sent a SYN, we get a SYNAC, and then we get a reset. Okay, so it doesn't actually complete the connection. Okay, so go ahead and do the other scans and then observe what they give. Next thing we'll do is we'll do an operating system scan. And what this does is send in certain packets and looks at what's returned back to see if it can observe the operating system. Okay, so there's the scans that it does, and it's managed to define that the operating system. From there, so there's the MAC address. Unfortunately, it's not managed to find the operating system from there, so we'll give a try over here. Some of the nmap commands require super user. Okay, so in this case, there's the scan results, and unfortunately it's not been able to find the operating system from there either. So in this part of the lab, we'll have a look at HPing, which we can use to craft our data packets. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll start up TCP dump over here. Normally what we would do is to look at ifconfig and find out what the name of our Ethernet adapter is. So it's Ethernet 8. interface, Ethernet. Okay. And we'll just do the same over here. We'll just run Wireshark. Okay, so while that's starting, let's just pull up another terminal. Okay, so we're going to be H-pinging from our Linux machine to the Windows one. Okay, so we just find out what our IP address is over here. Again, so it's 10.200.0.125. And we'll just take all the defaults. Okay, so there it goes. So what you see is it's a reset ACK that's actually been sent as the default. Okay, so we should be able to see that from this window here. And then if we look over here at our Windows machine, there we go. Okay, so the reset ACK is what's coming back. So H-ping is sending to port 0 with no flags set, and what's coming back is the reset ACK. So over here we should be able to see the same thing. Okay. Okay. So this is the response that comes back from the machine. Okay, so the next one we'll do, this time we'll do a -S, which should create a SYN flood. Okay, so again this time we're actually getting a reset ACK coming back. And we see the SYN over here. The SYN is getting sent. Let's start our capture again. If you actually prefer a Windows a text interface, then you can download WinDump. Okay, so in this case what we've got is we're sending in a SYN flood on port 0 and the machine is responding back with a reset ACK, as it should if the port isn't actually open, which port 0 isn't. So the next thing we'll do is we'll use a certain port 80. In this case, and this time the response should be different because port 80 is actually open. So we should actually get a SYN ACK coming back from that port. Okay, and that's what we get, SYN ACK. There we go. Perfect. So the SYN goes in. It should respond back with a SYN ACK. Yep. And then we're responding back with a reset, which closes the connection. Okay, so go ahead and complete the rest of the commands. You should find that there is a Metasploitable image actually on the network. It's maybe powered up. And you can find its IP address by logging into it with user. Just takes a little minute to start up. And the Metasploitable image has lots of weaknesses on it, so it's only used for training. Okay, so it should be nearly there. Okay, so it's at 0.8. Okay, so we'll do a quick nmap of it. And you can see here it has lots of ports that are actually open. And then we can do our hping on the Metasploitable image, and we should find that it's possible for us to be able to determine the ports that are actually open on it.